concerning new data from the CDC suggesting coronavirus cases in the U.S. could be about 10 times higher than documented. Now, this comes as California becomes the second state in the U.S. to reach 400,000 cases. New York, as you know, was the first. Yesterday, more than 1,000 coronavirus deaths were reported, according to Johns Hopkins. Now, that's one of America's highest single-day death tolls since late May. Tony?
In his first White House coronavirus briefing in months, President Trump sharply changed his tone, stressing the need to get recent outbreaks under control. He also issued this stark warning about the virus.
Some areas of our country are doing very well. Others are doing less well. It will probably, unfortunately, get worse before it gets better. Something I don't like saying about things, but that's the way it is.
The president appeared on his own following weeks of criticism over his response to the virus. While he's only worn a mask one time in public, he did encourage Americans to cover their faces when they can't social distance to help slow the spread of the virus.
CBS News Chief Washington correspondent Major Garrett joins us now. Major, good morning. We heard the president say for weeks, essentially, this is all going to just go away. Now we have a significant shift in tone at the briefing. What do you think is behind that?
Well, I know what's behind it based on conversations with Republicans who are working day in and day out with the Trump re-election campaign, with Senate Republicans who are now very much worried that their Senate majority is in jeopardy because of the president's sliding popularity and approval ratings. Essentially, Anthony, if you were to replay that briefing and subtitle it, that thing where the president said worse before it gets better, is essentially the subtitles would read like this. The poll numbers are real. My prospects for re-election are dimming. I have lost the confidence of suburban swing voters across this country, and I have got to speak candidly and honestly to them to get a chance to win them back before the November election. That essentially is the political context behind this. Advisors to the president have been telling him this for weeks. Bill Stepien's a new campaign manager. I'm told he's had some more proper interaction with the president, persuading him about the underlying polling data. Kellyanne Conway has been a strong voice for this. The president made the decision. He is trying to change the tone, but for Americans and for those concerned about the future of the pandemic, policy has to change as well. We have to stay tuned for that.
Yeah. What's the significance, Major, if any, to the fact that the president appeared at this briefing alone, none of his healthcare advisors?
That he owns this particular problem, that he has to take political and policy responsibility for where this is, and that he's going to be in charge of this new tone and this whole new direction, saying he's working with governors, no dismissive language about schools being fearful about reopening, talking about the importance of wearing a mask, telling youngsters, hey, don't go to crowded bars. The president was saying none of those things even 3 or 4 days ago. Now he has. He has reset or attempted to reset the political framing and the policy framing around his response to the pandemic because he knows he is in genuine trouble.
He tweeted a photograph of himself wearing a mask, but do you think he's likely to do that actually in public, Major?
Well, he has certainly created more space for him to do that, and carrying it to the podium yesterday, bringing it out, brandishing it for the reporters, saying I would wear it, creates a space for him to do that. And it also sends a message to those in his base and within the Republican Party who have been resistant to masks and these other initiatives to take the virus as it is right now more seriously, a signal that they now have political cover. Who do they have political cover from? The president, who's no longer sounding as skeptical as he did even a week ago. That could change policy at the local level as well, give them maneuvering room to be more specifically from a policy perspective, engaged in public health initiatives to slow the spread of the virus. The president is essentially giving them permission to do things he was not rhetorically giving them permission to do a week ago. The White House knows if things don't start happening at a positive level, at the state and local level, to combat the virus, that will redound not to the local officials' detriment, but to the president. And he needs them to change the direction of this virus, and he's giving them permission and the rhetorical space to do that.
Major, quickly, where do things stand on a new relief bill? The Republicans in the White House are talking. There's a lot of disagreement. What's on the table?
Basically, right now, the Senate Republicans are trying to hold the line. They are divided among themselves. Senate Democrats are very unified. Republicans are trying to hold the line about $1 trillion. There'll be more money for education. There'll be more money for PPE. There'll be more money for retrofitting businesses. There'll be some liability protections. But the White House will not get the payroll tax cut it wants. There's no support for that.
All right, Major Garrett. Thanks, Major.